Welcome to day 1 out of the 4-day LinkedIn Growth Challenge. If you can hear me, put yes in the comments or in the chat. I want to know who you are. And I want to say good afternoon to you. We're going to have a great training today about strategy. Because really, without strategy, you could be doing a lot of things on LinkedIn and not really even going anywhere, or not going towards the direction that you want to go to get the results that you may want to drive your business forward. So if you can hear me, put a 1 in the comments and let me know a little bit about who you are, what your business is, and what the one goal you have over the next 4 days is as well. Want to say hey to David. What's up, David? How are you? Brian. What is CFA? Certified something, probably. Brian, what do you do? So we'll start in about a minute. Today's day 1. We'll be talking about the 3 questions that you really need to answer to have a very clear strategy on LinkedIn. Tomorrow we'll be talking about LinkedIn live video events. The 3rd day we'll be talking about LinkedIn newsletters, and the 4th day, LinkedIn content, the content that you see on the feed, text, polls, short video posts, etc. Charles, I see you. Hey, Shanae from Paris. Real estate consultant, commercial or residential, executive and leadership coach. What's up? Bob, what's up? Chartered financial analyst. Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring up my screen, and just to get a read of the room, do any of you post currently on LinkedIn consistently? And by consistently, I mean daily. Yes or no? It doesn't, don't worry about. I do. Okay. So if you do that, like, the goal of today's training is for you to get to the point where you are being consistent. But the last thing that I would want for any business owner is you put in the time, the effort, the energy to post consistently. Those posts include live videos, not daily, obviously, but they do include live video events. They do include LinkedIn newsletters. They do include text posts, short videos, polls. They do include all of these things. Well, these things take time and energy and resources, especially if you're hiring a team or whatever. The last thing that I would want for any business owner is for that time and energy to be taken away from your business and then it not be able to reap the reward for you within the first 90 days. So the goal of this training, and if you follow this training, and if you implement what I will teach you over the next 4 days, you should see a result within 90 days. Okay? So that's the goal. The goal is not to get to the point to where we're just posting consistently, getting views, and nothing is happening on the back end of the business. And specifically for me, I work with business owners. They don't come to me necessarily wanting to be influencers. They don't want to dance on TikTok. They do, however, understand the power of attention, and they want to get that attention on LinkedIn to be able to drive their business forward. So I want to make a clear distinction between just getting views and having those views do something for your business on the back end. So if you follow this 4-day training, within 90 days, you should be getting inbound business. Now, what does that mean? That means that people are coming to you. For example, someone called me this morning. That person comes to me. They want a proposal for a 2-company deal. Okay, so they own different companies. They want campaigns run for 2 different companies. That person came to me. I did not DM that person. I did not chase that person. That person came inbound through LinkedIn originally. Okay. So that is the goal of today's training, not just to get you results, but to get you results without you having to incessantly chase people in the DMs, and to have those results be where they're coming to you. When it comes to positioning and strategy, I'm what they call an inbound marketing strategist, meaning I make people come to you, and we do that strategically through positioning and through content. Okay. If you want to learn more about me, there's a lot of content out there, but essentially I started posting on LinkedIn almost 5 years ago today. And when I started doing that, I went from having to literally chase people in the DMs and do cold calls, which I completely hated, I was terrible at, to doing business 99% inbound ever since. And I saw the massive shift even within the first 30 days. It was the only reason why I ever gave content a chance. I did not start content wanting to be an influencer. I just started it because I hated cold calling so much that I was like, I think that this could work. We'll see, but I'm willing to try it every single day for 30 days. I started to see the first shift when people would start to connect with me on LinkedIn instead of me having to always connect with them. Within 30 days, got a few inbound prospects, put the pedal to the metal ever since, never looked back. So for me, it's worked. I've coached hundreds of other entrepreneurs by this point over the last 5 years. It's worked for them as well. So here we are. And these are the 3 questions that without really answering these questions, you're going to be lost in the sauce. And without defining these questions, you're going to be potentially doing a lot on LinkedIn without getting anything, or with getting very little in return. So put a 1 in the comments if we understand that. So here, if you want to win on LinkedIn and experience real business wins within the first 90 days, you need to be able to answer 3 questions, just 3 very simple questions. The first one is, what is your one goal within the next 90 days? Now, I see a recurring pattern with very established businesses. I spoke to 3 very established business owners this week. And it's not surprising that they all know exactly what they want from LinkedIn within the first few minutes of a call. This is exactly what I want. One was as specific as to the number of registrations, additionally, that she wants every single month on her webinar. So they know exactly the one goal that needs to be achieved within 90 days. And I want that for you too. It should not be, I want more clients. You should know how many clients you are going for and for which offer. We need to be extremely specific, okay? So identify the goal, and ideally the goal needs to align with your top business priority. Now this could be different for different types of businesses, right? Some businesses close their sales on the phone. Other businesses close most of their sales on a webinar. Other businesses close most of their sales just by people clicking a link when people join their email list and then receive the nurturing sequence. So I don't want you to look outward necessarily for this answer. I want you to look inward, and then depending on how your business is structured, define it from there. But it needs to be very clear, and it needs to be one goal. I don't care that you also want to be on podcasts and be a speaker and also do B2B contracts and this and that. There should be one that is prioritized over all the others. And a lot of the podcasting and speaking opportunities really comes as a result of, as you positioned as a thought leader, and really comes as a result of visibility. So for me, those things are going to happen inevitably as your visibility increases. So it really should never be the first one. The people who win on LinkedIn with the least level of resistance know exactly what they want. Like I said, a general example is, I want to be a thought leader. Well, what does that mean, right? Put a specific number to the followers, to the level of growth that you want within 6 months, whatever. A good example, business example, could be 400 plus more registrations to my monthly webinar. So within 90 days, the baseline of webinar registrations needs to increase by 400. That is a very specific goal. So I want you to either write that down on a piece of paper, write yours down, or write it in the comments, and I could give you some feedback as to whether that is a specific enough goal. Another good example could be, 10 investors for my new fund within 90 days. Each with a minimum contribution of $50K. It could also just be views. So if somebody just literally wants to grow because next year they want to launch a book, it could be that they're starting off at 0 followers and it could be 10,000 followers in 90 days. But it has to be measurable. Awesome. Beata, was that part of our training or did you watch a YouTube video? Shanae's encouragement finally got me off my ASS. That's funny. I love it. So Laurent, 5,000 members subscribing to my newsletter. Which newsletter? Your LinkedIn newsletter or private? Okay, I like that, Charles. I like this. 600 more registrations to my monthly newsletter. I love that. Okay, so we're dealing with a smart crew here. I give you guys 5 out of 5 stars. So who do you need to attract to achieve your one goal with the least level of resistance? I don't believe in making things hard for yourself. So let's say I'm selling chicken, right? I'm going to go to people that are most likely to buy chicken. I'm not going to try to attract vegetarians. Does this make sense? This is answering this specific question is only a problem if you have no idea who it is that you serve. And if you have somewhat of an established business, it should be easier because you can kind of take your initial feelings out of it. And I would look at payment data. And I would specifically look at payment data within the last 18 months. So again, the second question is, who do you need to attract to achieve this one goal with the least level of resistance? And then the easiest way to identify this person is to look at your payment data, obviously aligned with what it is that your goal is. So let's say that I wanted to sell group coaching for the next 90 days. I would not look at my payment data for one-on-one coaching clients. Does this make sense? I would look at who it is that has joined group coaching programs or cohorts that we have run before in a group, where they came from, who the top students were in the groups, what the patterns were, titles, how they found us, what were their first wins? Did they show up to most of the classes? I would audit all of that. I would not audit the one-on-one coaching clients. If I wanted to push one-on-one coaching as a top priority within the next 90 days, I would obviously audit and look at the payment data related to the one-on-one coaching clients. Does this make sense? Put 1 in the chat because I need this to make sense. Okay. So look at your payment data. Now, once you've identified who it is that you're looking for based on your payment data, you're not just going to look at who paid. You're going to look at who paid with the least level of resistance, and you should be able to recall that. And who actually did the work long-term, maybe who even continued after that specific program or offer, who referred people to you, and who you thoroughly enjoyed working with. Like, who did you meet with that leaving their meetings or showing up to their meetings would put a smile on your face because they energized you versus working with clients that drain you? Does this make sense? Put a 2 in the chat. Put a 2 in the chat. So this is pretty good, like fund asset manager, right? So Laurent, one of the things I would kind of look at is there a specific location? Is there a specific industry that you've worked with that gets great results? As a fund asset manager or asset fund manager, Are they usually leading a specific size team, or do they work for a specific size company? How long have they usually been an asset fund manager? What type of funds do they manage? You want to look at all those things and then look for patterns. Okay. And then what is the one call to action? What's the one place you're going to lead them to? So on LinkedIn, it works really well if you just have one front forward facing offer. And if that offer leads to the offer that you're going to sell. So for example, if your goal was to increase webinar registrations, we would not push an ebook. Like, it's crazy that I have to say this, but I see this all the time. Or we would not push consultations. The call to action would be join the webinar. And then on the webinar, you can either choose to close a very high ticket offer through a phone consultation after the fact, or a group offer through a link, or a course through a link that is dropped during the webinar. But I really need you to align your call to action with the one goal at the top. If your one goal is to sell more books, then the call to action should be either directly to the book for them to buy, or if you have previous evidence that when they join your free private newsletter, then 30% of them move forward within 10 days and buy the book, then so be it. Make them join the private newsletter, give them a first chapter for free, and then have the other 30% buy the book. But the point is that the call to action needs to align with the one goal that we defined in the beginning. Usually when I work with consultants, they have, coaches and business owners, especially who want to work long-term together on LinkedIn. And at minimum with my one-on-one clients, I only work for 6 months at minimum because there's just so much to do and build on. But usually those clients have very high ticket offers. And because of that, it's either they're being led to a consultation. So getting on a call, they have the sales skills to close. They really just need the right traffic coming to them. Or it's joining a private email list if they're a little bit more established. And then from that private email list, it could be a live training or direct to call. But that's more if they have a team, they've been in marketing for a while, and they have to have evidence that that works. We're not recreating new funnels every single week because that's what you feel like. Does this make sense? So if you're going to lead people to a landing page, I would only advise that if you have evidence that when they get to that landing page, they do the thing that they're meant to do on that landing page. If it's a new landing page, then I would highly suggest tracking the results. So let's say it's to sign up for a private newsletter. That means that if 100 people get to that landing page and 3 people sign up, that's a problem in terms of signing up for the free newsletter. In that case, you'd probably be better off just leading them to DM me on LinkedIn for a consultation. And I want to dispel any myths off the bat that you need a website or landing page to be successful on LinkedIn. You don't. A lot of the times, you just need really great content that speaks to the person that you're looking to attract. And from there, people know what to do, especially when you say, message me. Their interest is piqued, you've proven that you're an expert, and they will DM you. People are a lot smarter than you think. Does this make sense? Yeah, in the real estate industry, exactly. So for you, Laurent, one of the things that I would look at is, okay, if a deal takes 8 months to close, what activities and what mediums can be increased on LinkedIn to accelerate the sales cycle and compress it maybe to 6 months? Or to just focus on the top 10% echelon of clients even more, double down on that. Okay, now why does this matter? Once you have clarity from answering these 3 questions, you can then apply them to how, number 1, you optimize your profile. So you have to think about it through the lens of the one person that you're looking to attract. down to the photo that you decide on your profile. Why? Because if I'm looking to attract stay-at-home moms versus, let's say, Silicon Valley investors, I'm probably not going to choose the same profile picture. The photos would look very different. Maybe in the photo that where I'm looking to appeal to the investors, I'm wearing a black turtleneck versus the moms, maybe it's a little bit more casual and whatever. And maybe I would even have my kid in the photo. So down to the photo that you choose, the verbiage in your headline, the verbiage in your about section, and all of the things, you need to look at it through the lens of who it is that you're looking to attract. And then you need to look at your profile and say, if I was this person, without even scrolling down, would they know what I do? Would they know how I can help them? Would they know where I need to go next? Would they resonate with this picture? You know, if I was lined up next to 10 other little bubbles on their mobile phone where I'm this small? Or am I just like invisible? So you really have to always put the person first and position yourself accordingly. The other thing where this is going to heavily apply is content, right? Especially within the next 3 days, what you learn. The topic that you will choose for a LinkedIn Live video that appeals to, let's say, new moms versus investors is very different. Even the type of topics that I would choose if I wanted to appeal to one-on-one clients with teams that have, 10 to 25 employees compared to coaching clients, group coaching clients that may be solopreneurs that may only maybe have like a virtual assistant is very different. Okay. So down to the LinkedIn Live video topics, the title of your newsletter, the editions that you publish within your newsletter, the type of short form videos that you publish, everything. Everything comes down to the messaging. If you are posting, if you are consistently posting, and if you are consistently posting in different mediums and you don't have the right people coming to you, there's a messaging problem every single time. And by messaging, I mean that you're speaking to the wrong person in your content. The person that you're looking to attract is not getting the signal that you know what it is that you're talking about, that you can help them, and that they should come to you over everybody else. And just with some shifting, that's possible to change, but it's impossible to change unless you have the clarity of the first 3 questions. So for a recap is going to be emailed to every single one of you with a worksheet that you could fill out that will help you be guided through these questions, and so that you could kind of work through and have very real clarity with your answers. And then a free GPT tool that will help you rewrite your about section on LinkedIn. You will also be asked a lot of questions to get to the output, but to get to this output and to answer these questions accordingly, you have to kind of do the first step. So if this GPT tool asks you, what size business does your ideal prospect work at? What industry? Do they work in a team? What's their first goal on LinkedIn? You have to know these things or else it can't help you. So it really starts with gaining clarity on who. So what questions do you have? I'm here to help you. I would like to know what you wished you knew sharing a LinkedIn newsletter. Like when I started, Mary Elizabeth. And I wonder, so this is kind of on the fly, and I know a couple of people in the chat, so it would mitigate the risk a little bit, like Charles, but Charles, and if you're open for a 10-minute profile review where we kind of go through this live, put yes in the chat. So I would just look at your profile. I'd ask you these questions. I'd look at your profile and I'd maybe point out 3 things that you could improve. Okay, so what I wish I knew when I started a LinkedIn newsletter. Well, I wish I would have started one earlier. So that's number 1. And I probably didn't start LinkedIn newsletters until they were available already for like 6 months. And the reason I didn't is because if you've been on LinkedIn long enough, you've probably seen them add features and then take them away. So I guess it was kind of PTSD from that. Like I didn't want to start using this feature and then they'd be like, yeah, we're going to just get rid of it. So I allowed it to establish itself for about 6 months. And then I really dove into a bunch of testing. So the first thing is, I wish I would have started earlier. The second thing is I wish I would have known the long-term SEO effects a little bit better. A lot of the other gurus on LinkedIn were like anti-LinkedIn newsletters for the longest time because you couldn't get emails. But through testing, I quickly realized that there was a lot of power to it. And then one day randomly, I started just searching for some of the titles, the keywords in the titles, and I was ranking for a lot of them. So I wish I would have been more deliberate from the start with SEO, but it kind of happened magically as a great accident. And I did realize it pretty early compared to others. And then the third thing that I wish that I would have realized was I wish I would have been more strategic with where I'm going to lead them to next. So when I started my LinkedIn newsletter, again, I'm kind of throwing myself into the fire first so that I can come back to my clients and share results. And, you know, I'm kind of the person that goes in with the machete in the wilderness and gets cut, you know, the little cuts all over my face and stuff. I'm discovering and learning a little bit ahead of who I serve. And so because of that, I wish I would have just known more of the call to action stuff that I know now. I would have built my email list a lot faster, my private email list that way. So yes. Okay, so Charles, I'm actually going to send you a link and then you could hop on here and we could take a look and everyone can kind of benefit. Hold on. Charles. People say it's not wise to have a LinkedIn newsletter because it's like renting a home versus owning a home. LinkedIn is always changing and we have no control over its decisions and how that impacts us. People live in either or land, black and white land. It's actually insanity to me that you're going to tell somebody, and this is what some people tell people. There are some people with a network of 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people on LinkedIn. And there are people telling them, no. You don't need to leverage the people that know, like, and trust you today because one day it could disappear. I think that, like Gary Vee likes to say now, it's and. There's no reason. It's like actually insane to think that you wouldn't get in front of people that know, like, and trust you, where this platform does most of the work, where the email deliverability is pristine because of the domain authority of the platform, where you could reach their inbox starting tomorrow and you could rank on SEO like this. in as little as hours or days for top keywords because you're riding on LinkedIn's domain authority. It's crazy to tell people not to do that because it could disappear one day. So I live in an and world. It's crazy not to not do that. And it's also crazy to be a consultant for 20, 25 years and not have your own private email list. But I think that when someone's just starting their business, it's very difficult for them to manage both a CRM, an email list software, this, a website, and that. And if they could get a quick win for a high ticket client leveraging their LinkedIn newsletter, why would someone tell them not to do that? I'm not on that board. I'm not on that. I like the lowest hanging fruit, practical wins, because that's what's going to get people cash flow in their business. So that's what I have to say about that. For long term, of course, it's wise. The number one predictor of profitability in any online business is your growth of the private email list. So it's insane. It's equally insane when I talk to consultants that have been in business for 30 years that don't have an email list, a private email list. But I think that there's a time and a place, and I think that there's a stacking of skills necessary when you're building your online business. And I think that if you try to balance too many of those skills and learn them at the same time, it just leads to frustration and people giving up and going back to a job. So I would argue that the LinkedIn newsletter is a great testing ground for a private newsletter. Because if I tell you, okay, go to Kajabi today, open your private newsletter with your whole email thing and figure it out. This is where people get very overwhelmed. Instead, if you have a LinkedIn newsletter for 12 weeks, over the 12 weeks, you have 3 outliers. Now you have 3 email campaigns that you could start on Kajabi with just by changing them a little bit because you know what your audience likes already because of the data from your LinkedIn newsletter. Charles,
Hey,
what's up? Say hey.
hey there, how are you?
Good. And everyone in the chat, I'm going to bring up Charles's LinkedIn profile and connect with him on LinkedIn. It takes guts to just come on to the camera. This is not planned. So
This is great, right? It's good to open.
yeah, and I want people to benefit. I want you to benefit. So kind of tell me what the goal is, and then I'll bring up your profile.
Okay, so I'm in a life transition going from corporate world into building a coaching business.
Okay.
And what my goal out of LinkedIn is to attract coaching clients. I have other goals, like build followers and so on, but my number one goal is to attract executives that I can coach on an ongoing basis.
Okay. And Charles, just if you could fix your sound a little, I could hear you, but maybe just for the audience.
Okay. Can you still hear me now?
Yeah, that's a little bit
Okay.
better. So when you say executive coaching clients, is there a specific industry? Are they usually at a certain size company? What's their usual title on LinkedIn?
So one could be anybody kind of at the vice president or higher level.
Okay.
Also, with my background in human resources, a lot of the clients I've attracted thus far have been senior HR executives.
Okay. And what's the first problem that you're going to help them solve?
Well, usually they have a problem that they're bringing to me and they're asking me to help them with that. So they got some kind of business issue.
Mm-hmm.
If they're just want to kind of sharpen their saw as a coach, then I start with what they're all about, what's their why.
Give me an example of a business issue. Is it like, hey, we're not retaining talent, or we can't find this specific talent, or what?
Yeah, so it could be that they are having difficulty finding talent, or they want to groom people into senior leadership, or they want to. One individual I'm working with right now, what he wants to do is kind of move up to the next level in the company. He's pretty close to the CEO. He's just 1 or 2 levels away from the CEO.
Okay.
He wants to move up to the next level and build his team. beneath
Okay.
him to take over his job in the next 1 month.
Okay. All right. So I've got what I need just, you know, to give a brief, to give a few things that may be improved on Charles's profile. So number one is when I look at his profile, the first thing that I'm going to audit is, do I understand? Like if I were an HR leader, a VP of HR, or, you know, senior HR executive, do I know that Charles can help me yet? And I'm sure he hasn't optimized his profile yet because he's just starting this. But the answer so far is no, right? So that's the first thing, Charles, is like executive coaching for senior HR leaders, something like that, within the headline. And I would then put like a line, and then I would put learn how to train your teams as a HR senior leader, something like that. So I'd go for the first point, or better retention, whatever. And then the second point. But I should know from here, executive coach to senior HR leaders globally.
Yeah.
And then up here, the same thing. So where do you want them to go to? The DMs?
Yeah, the DMs.
Okay. So up here, it should kind of be along the same lines, like executive coaching for senior HR leaders. And then maybe like an arrow, and it could say personal message me if, you know, to increase your employee retention and to learn how to train your HR teams better. And this is just off the top of my mind. But now when I look at your profile and I'm a senior HR leader that needs to train a team or that's having a problem with retention, I know, whoa, who is this guy and how can he help me, right?
Yeah.
And then here, like top 100 HR heroes, anything that you have related to HR, and I know that you've spoken on stages and things like that, I would add it to your banner. So maybe if you've spoken at an HR event or you have a picture with a very well-known HR global leader, I would add it to your banner. Have the call to action there. And then if there's any awards, like, you know, those little like stars and certifications that other HR leaders would recognize, I would also add it to your banner.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then here with the Charles Caldwell, let me listen. Hold on.
Charles Caldwell, my ceiling is the next generation's floor. Thanks for stopping by, and please follow me on LinkedIn. Have a fabulous day.
So I would change that to, hey, this is Charles Caldwell. If you're a senior HR leader looking to increase retention and train your team better within the next 90 days, then message me on LinkedIn and we could schedule a consultation. So just curating that entire experience. Your LinkedIn profile, and again, Charles is just starting, so this will be part of the process, but your entire LinkedIn profile should feel like a boutique or like curated experience for the one person that it is that you're looking to attract. It should feel effortless even from the top for them to understand that you do serve them, like what credentials you have in this industry and what you could help them do, even if it's just the first problem like retention. Now, let's just say that over the first 90 days, you know, I'm coaching Charles, and then Charles comes to me and says, Shanae, like all the leads that close, they really want to focus on retention. And then on the back end, they talk to me about training their teams. I would then tell him to remove the team training and then tell him to just, you know, increase retention within 90 days for senior HR leaders globally, right? You know, I would tell him to double down on the thing that's moving the needle, especially to start the client relationship. Down here, just this will need to be rewritten. We need to tell them like what experience you have in HR, which you have a lot of global experience. And I would kind of write those down, Charles. So let's say, you know, 27 or 25 plus years serving at 7 or 3 global HR companies. I helped solve these problems. You don't have to mention the specific company names, but I've helped 53, you know, HR leaders become senior VPs. I've helped blah, blah, blah. So that it just speaks the credentials over and over again. And then when you do get the results for your coaching clients, like let's say I coached a VP within a beverage company globally, a VP of HR, they were able to increase their retention 7% in 90 days through the strategies we worked on. So then it would also be like maybe 3 bullet points of who you've helped coaching wise. So as I'm reading this, I'm learning about what Charles has done in his global career. I'm learning about what he's done recently with some coaching clients. And then at the end, I could learn about, he's from Toronto. He has triplets, right? You have triplets?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I always remember this fact. Who has triplets? That's awesome. He has
HR, I have headcount issues everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. He has triplets, and I could learn more of the personal stuff here. And then I also need to learn, just double down on the personal message me on LinkedIn. If you're a senior HR leader at a company this size, and this is your problem. As Charles's coaching company grows and his demand grows, you also want to include filters in your about section. So you could include, although I like working and advising like all HR leaders, I really only help if you're at this big of a company, right? And so you eventually want to filter that as your demand grows. Does that make sense?
Yep, definitely.
Okay. And then here your services are, and these are testimonials?
Yeah. Well, they're
Okay.
kind of case studies.
Okay, yeah, this is great. So these 3 case studies, I would bullet point them, or whatever, the 5 of them, the 3 of them, I would definitely bullet point them like, here are some recent client results in your about section, and then just make sure, you don't have to put all 3 paragraphs, but quantify the result.
Okay.
Hold on, let me see. So when a publicly listed tech company, we all wish through our session, she strategically positioned herself for growth, developing key leadership management skills and cross-cultural fluency to lead teams across Australia, Philippines, Germany, the US, and India with targeted guidance on leadership presence, stakeholder navigation. She successfully transitioned into a global management role. So one of the things, like when we're bullet pointing some of this stuff, is I want to know how long did this take?
Okay. Yeah,
right.
Good point.
So within 6 months, I helped this HR leader become a global HR leader. These were the deficits, the skill deficits that were holding her back. This is what we worked on. Maybe these are some of the challenges that we faced along the way, and we were able to do this in this amount of time, right? And then, so the time when you're bullet pointing is going to be important. But it's great that you have those case studies. Make sure you turn each one of those case studies into a newsletter if you haven't already.
Okay.
So for the newsletter, love as a leadership skill, you could keep this, Charles, but you could also do another newsletter specific to global HR executives.
Mm-hmm.
It could be career acceleration for global HR execs. Or if you really audit your inbound coaching clients and say, okay, their number one problem is retention. You could say retention strategies for global HR execs, whatever. But I need to see it. And as a global HR exec, I need to know, or senior HR exec, whatever the lingo is, I need to want to subscribe.
Yeah.
Because within the newsletter, and he really is a leader, he's led teams globally, I need him to flaunt that in each of those newsletter editions. And I'm sure you have story after story. Yeah. So you could keep this one, and then I would launch a second one for global HR execs.
Okay.
And then, of course, by initially launching that second one, who is most likely to subscribe? Global HR execs who are interested in whatever, increasing retention or just accelerating their career or leading better teams. And those people are potentially just a lead list from the start.
Yeah.
Right? So this is good. You have all your receipts with the stuff. And then maybe put like HR, or, I mean, you're a true expert in what it is that you do. I'm not worried about this. And then when it comes to, I see this content, let me see. So again, I just need you to flaunt your expertise a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I love your stories. Your stories do really well. One thing that Charles can do is, like, there's a PR strategist on X that, let's say somebody does good PR, really good PR, or really bad PR, she'll reshare and then she'll share her insights on why it's not a good idea what they did or why it is a good idea. Just through her resharing and sharing her insights, sometimes I read those things and I'm like, you're on the mark. Like, you really know what you're talking about, right? And so kind of the same thing here. If you see something on LinkedIn News or you see some announcement with global HR or whatever, you can reshare and then add your industry insights. You could maybe even talk about it in a video. But I also want you to bring some expert videos. So maybe 1 out of 3 of the videos that you publish, I want you to speak to that one person. So you could say, listen, like, you want to level up in HR, but you can't do that until you train your team. And you have a team of 25 people. Here's what I would do over the next 6 months if I were you. Right? So I'm speaking to that global HR leader that wants to go to the C-suite, but really can't go there yet until they train their team better.
Yeah.
And by you sharing whatever insights you share, if I'm that person, who am I going to go to help? You know, for that help, I'm going to go to you. So I would start to do that because you truly are an expert. And then, like, it's kind of like this, right? Like, you shared, like, everyone wrote off Snapchat, but I would love it if you were to do more of these tied into HR being the reason it succeeded.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then because of your network, maybe once a month or once a quarter, and I'm sure you know them, you invite another super well-known global HR leader to be interviewed on a LinkedIn Live.
Yeah.
And then, of course, doing a monthly LinkedIn Live for your expertise, like, you know, for who you serve. And this is just like a 15-minute audit off the top of my head. How did I do, Charles?
11 out of 10, Shanae.
11 out of 10. Okay. Put the stars of how I did in the chat. How many points out of 10? But yeah, Charles, and the only other thing is maybe audit, like, look at who the top 10 like whale clients, dream clients would be. And let's say, like, you look at their LinkedIn and they're all wearing like a blue suit. I would then kind of put a picture in a blue suit.
Okay.
Or if they're not wearing a suit and they're wearing like a polo, whatever, I would just like appeal to them. And like, your picture is good, but just, you know, the only thing with the picture is maybe putting yourself in the middle more.
Okay.
You know, zooming in a little bit and then putting yourself in the middle.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's what I suggest. And, you know, message me, Charles. But everyone, go follow Charles. I'm going to put we'll actually put your link in the recap because I can't put it down. Or no, I can put it down here. But connect with Charles and make the changes, Charles.
All right. You can count on me.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'll drop off now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks again, Shanae.
You're welcome. So that's just a little, you know, and this was completely unplanned, but it's a little preview of what the first step would be like working together. If you're interested, go to support@growthacademy.global, Lord God, support@growthacademy.global. And this is the first step. It's really, okay, understanding what is your goal, what it is that you do. And this was a short version. If it were a little bit longer, I would I don't want him to share those details publicly, but I would drill into like, tell me about your top 3 clients. We would go through each one of them. And I would start to see certain patterns, especially within how they reached out, when they reached out, what size of business, what's the first problem that he helped them solve, well, how long did it take, what were the challenges, so on and so forth. And then we would position his LinkedIn profile to appeal to those top prospects. So if you're interested in a process like that, just message support@growthacademy.global. And this is the first step, it's strategy. Later on today, you'll be sent an email with a recap. It'll be a form where you could answer the 3 questions, and you could just gain clarity on what it is that you need, because you're going to need that clarity for tomorrow, and especially for day 3 and day 4. Thank you, Maria. What's up? All right. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 2. Now, just look in Charles's case. Let's say that tomorrow we're going to be learning about LinkedIn Live Video. In his case, he needs to understand who he's speaking to and what the first problem that he helps them solve is, because that'll affect the title of the LinkedIn Live video, right? So let's just say that he helps global HR leaders increase retention for their company. It could literally just be like 3 strategies to increase retention as VP of HR or as a senior HR executive in 2025. Who's going to be most likely to sign up for that live event? Senior HR executives looking to increase retention. But he wouldn't know that unless he were to take a look at who he's attracting in his coaching business, and if he didn't intentionally position the live event to speak to those people. So it's not just 3 HR tips. We have to get better than that, and we have to get more clear than that. So make sure that you know all the answers to these questions. Make sure that you have that clarity, because if not, it will be evident that you don't when you create your live video event, when you launch your LinkedIn newsletter, and when you start to post consistently on LinkedIn. Again, if you're interested, go to support@growthacademy.global and email us, and I will see you tomorrow. God bless you. Ciao.